At about midnight, my brother sent me a text that said, "I've been too distraught to tell you, but Dad passed away today at 2:42.
She called her brother.
I said, "Peter, what is happening? What happened?" I assumed it was a car crash. I was truly just blown away to discover that my dad died very slowly of COVID.
Peter didn't take their father to the hospital, didn't call 911, didn't call Rachel to tell her their father was so sick he could barely speak. Rachel McKibbins is a poet and a writer. She wrote on Twitter about her father and brother dying of COVID, and it was an arresting story.
Nancy was compelled by the idea of talking to someone who was in the midst of coming to terms with a huge turn in their life.
When I went to Rachel's house to interview her for the first time, I had my notes and questions, a whole game plan like I do. Within half an hour, I gave up on all that. I've never interviewed somebody at that very active state of grieving. Rachel was dumbfounded by how much she didn't know about her father's and brother's last month of being alive. She had no idea what he'd been thinking as he was fading away, what he'd been doing instead of telling her the truth. And then Rachel made a discovery, a record of Peter's final days, and she found out exactly what happened.
You could see my texts to my brother and him taking info from me, checking it with our cousin, and then the ping pong of misinformation. People want so much to vilify his inaction, and myself included in that. My brother was considered a villain. They were like, oh my God, he should be busted for manslaughter, like back when he was still alive.
When you look at all the incredible COVID reporting that exists, it tends to be very big, it's global. And this story takes a different approach where it zooms really far in on just a handful of people.
My intention with the story wasn't, I'm going to tell what the other side is like, because it didn't seem like another side. It just seemed like we are all in this mess together. What's left in the waning days? The country we were before we lost over 1 million people to COVID. The country we still are.
It wasn't just a COVID story. It was just very much about 3 people who loved each other, maybe didn't love each other in the ways that were healthiest, but they tried. And at the end of the day, we have each other or nobody.